Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paddock Podcast. Joining me are two titans of the Manchester United fan base, Mr. Joe Smith in the studio.
You all right?
Next to me.
Right here in person.
Looking resplendent.
Yes, thank you, as always. Looking like a sort of sexy scientist.
Exactly, that's what I was going to say. And live from his bunker is Mr. Stephen Howson. How are we doing?
One day, Jay, I will have a bunker.
Do you know what? I'm only semi-joking when I say you're in your bunker.
Yeah.
I have my doubts or queries that you may actually have one already, but there's something we've all got to look forward to. We're going to get into it. Make sure you get involved in the chat and the comments. David de Gea has been a hot topic for the last, I don't know, I can't do the maths.
14 years.
20 hours?
4 years.
14 years. I was going to say 20 hours, whatever it's been, following his mistake. At the London Stadium. Now, this has been going on, rumbling on for a little while, the whole David de Gea debate. Joe, you've been pretty persistent or consistent that he's not the guy for Eric Ten Hag between the sticks. Probably going back a little bit further than that, to be fair. Yeah. Steve, while you've hardly been a staunch David de Gea must stay type of guy, you have stuck up for him a little bit over the recent weeks when he's been getting stick, when people have been saying, oh, it's all on him. And you've sort of made the point that there are some positives to a game and it's not just his fault for some of these results we're seeing. So we thought we'd have a little bit of a debate and a little bit of a chat. And, you know, by all means, feel free to wade in where you want. Joe, I'll start with you. The mistake at London Stadium and everyone sort of kicking off and pointing at the fact that David de Gea is not the keeper he used to be, and he does have these mistakes in him. I think he's made 4 errors that have led to a goal this season, which is the joint most highest with Hugo Lloris. There's obviously question marks around his distribution and his commanding of his area or his lack of commanding of his area. You've been banging this drum for a little while now that David de Gea probably isn't the type of keeper that Eric Ten Hag wants or needs.
I think that's pretty obvious, really, isn't it? When you look at how we play and how we've had to adapt how we play because of De Gea. Like we saw after those first couple of games that we wanted to play out from the back. It didn't work. We got battered by Brentford with, again, I don't know if you'd call it, I don't know if it counts as a mistake leading to a goal, but giving the ball to Christian Eriksen when he had a man right up his arse and him losing the ball, which then led to a goal, I would consider that an error that's led to a goal, which I don't think would be counted in the 4 that we're seeing, because technically it was Eriksen who gave the ball away. So, do you know what I mean? But undoubtedly for me, that was a De Gea error. After that game, before the Liverpool game, we completely switched what we were doing. We stopped playing out from the back. He just went long every time. And slowly over the season, that's crept back in. He is playing out from the back more again. But, you know, it's every time we play a big team, whenever we play City or Arsenal or Liverpool, we boot it long again. Because when teams or even Brighton, when teams who can genuinely press properly and consistently play against us, we have to play a different way because of our goalkeeper. And even if you didn't take into account the shot stopping, the fact that he doesn't command his box, which he never has, and that's been okay in the past or, you know, workable in the past. If you just forget about all of that, the fact that we can't play how the manager wants to, for me, is enough. But once you factor in the fact that his save percentage and his expected saves to save percentage is lower than average, his his cross stopping and command of his box are well below average, in, you know, some of the worst in the top 5 leagues. I think there was a stat, I can't remember what it was, whether it was crosses claimed or I think it was crosses claimed. He was the 21st worst in the league, which means that everyone's first choice keeper and one backup do it more than he does. Like, you know, there are no numbers that David de Gea currently has this season, and just from watching him, you can see it, that are above average or approaching world class. And that, for me, just isn't good enough. And, you know, I know he's done great things for United. He's a club legend. What's he won 4? Or is it 5 Player of the Years now? Did he win 3 in a row and then a 4th? Or did he win 4 and then a 5th?
I think it's 5, but I'll double check.
Either way, 4 or 5. He is a club legend.
Oh, right. So it might, yeah.
And I'm not taking, none of that gets taken away by the fact that now is time to move on. But now is time to move on. And then again, if you want another thing, he's the most expensive goalkeeper in the world. Yeah. And the most expensive goalkeeper in history. Like, there's a lot of things that add up here. And I can't think of a single metric or factor or thing that he does that would be worth keeping him in the team at the moment. And it's unfortunate for him and unfortunate for us as fans to see a player that I've loved for a decade become surplus to requirements. But we have to accept that that is the situation. And, you know, yes, maybe Maguire was more at fault for the first goal against Sevilla, but goals 2 and 3 were certainly on De Gea. Do you know what I mean? Yes, we should have scored goals against West Ham, but I'd rather have had 1 point than no points.
Yeah.
Like, that 1 point might be the difference this season. We've got a far inferior goal difference to Liverpool. They can get 71.5 points this season. Do you know what I mean? We need 72 to beat them because they've got 15 better goal difference. So that point might have been that. So, there's I've said a lot there, but basically, I think it's very difficult to say that David de Gea is a world-class keeper and he doesn't even tick the boxes that Ten Hag wants at a lower level. He's a different style of keeper and he's not as good at that style as he used to be.
Yeah.
But other than that,
I wish he wouldn't sit on the fence so much, Joseph. You know what I mean? Make a point and stick to it. Steve, listen, I know he's got his faults and I know you've pointed them out in the past, but do you think there is a little bit of an OTT reaction at times, David de Gea? I mean, there are some positives to him. It was 4 years, not 5. But he has got, I think, the most clean sheets in the Premier League. There's been some performances. I remember, I think, the Leicester game, the West Ham game at home, particularly where he played very well. Mm-hmm. Do you think those get ignored and that everyone focuses on him? And plus, let's not forget, as you've pointed out, that whilst defensively we haven't been great, we've scored 3 goals in the last 6 games.
Yeah.
That's not on De Gea. It's not his fault. Over 2 hours against Brighton in the FA Cup semi-final, we couldn't get a goal, or we're struggling to score goals. That's not him. But Steve, where do you sort of sit on this? Do you think
with all that qualification that you've just done, Dave, you've given me fuck all to talk about here. So what I'll say is, firstly, I don't agree with having "stay" over my face on this thumbnail. So I'm just putting that out there for everybody. Don't
let that get in the way of people's outrage towards you.
That was merely a design choice.
I understand what you've done, but I wouldn't necessarily say "stay." What I'm going to say is the focus on him being the bogeyman. It is a little bit, like you said, it's a little bit OTT. I think that he should have saved the shot yesterday, but we didn't score. We haven't scored in 4 of our last 6. Like, that's just abjectly not good enough. And De Gea's a bit of a conundrum because on one hand, he is going to probably win Golden Glove, or he's at least in the running for winning Golden Glove. And at the same time, no one's made more errors leading to a goal. That's probably not good enough. And I think you're at a crossroads with him where he might end up staying on the back of the fact that we don't know who our owners are going to be. Because I think that the problem that Ten Hag is going to face, without knowing who he can go and speak to unleash whatever budget he may or may not have for this summer, one of the questions that he needs to answer in the next 2 months is, who is my goalkeeper next season? I don't think Tom Heaton's good enough. I don't think Jack Butland's going to be that guy. We know David de Gea is at least a Premier League level goalkeeper. He's certainly not the best in the league, but he is a Premier League level goalkeeper. If there's so many questions to answer, one of the easy ones might be to just extend his contract and fix it down the line. Just kick it up the road and almost not make a decision on it. Give him a 2-year extension and figure it out in a summer or 2. I don't necessarily think that's optimal. I think ideally you've been scouting a keeper, and that there has been some talk that we've looked at Diogo Costa, that we've looked at Onana, like we've looked at goalkeepers. And I think the optimal thing to do would be to put your hat on one of them, say, this is going to be my man, and allow David to leave come the summer. I just feel with all the dramas that we've got, the Glazers still fingering us as they're trying to leave. I think it's going to be difficult for us to make the decision that we want to make this summer. And I think there's a little bit of an over-egging. Like, people don't want to lash out at the manager because they're a new manager. Who else is really making mistakes in the team? It's second choice defense that's in front of him. That's not helping him. Do you know what I mean? It's a case of who's all the Miver going to go at. Harry Maguire was getting a paste in. Some of that was from me. And all of it was correct. But now it's almost like there seems to be a desire from the fan base that someone's always got to be at fault for stuff. And it has to go on one guy's shoulders. But ultimately, it's a team game.
Yeah.
And yes, De Gea has made mistakes. And you're not going to sit... I am not, despite what the comments are probably going to say, I am not sitting there defending De Gea. I'm just saying he's not the only drama in the team. There's far more dramas in the team, and I'm not even going to harp back on the performances of the past or what he's won or where his save percentage is at this season. I just think it's, as usual, a bit of an overreaction to everything.
I'll get into a couple of comments and I want to come back to both of you. I wanted to ask you a question. Abinam Verma in the super chat says, the way people revise De Gea's United legacy, forces me to defend his history. He's not the guy for us, but don't rewrite history. Ali says, sign Jordan Pickford. I don't know. They've been drinking. Morzan33R says, he is part of the problem. So yes, we got rid of him. Yes, we get rid of him alongside others. There's a bit of a debate going on about Dean Henderson, and Malik says Henderson isn't good enough. I wanted to ask you, I'll ask you both this, start with you, Joe. How much of a priority would it be for you to replace De Gea? Because Steve's made a point now. We don't know who the owner's going to be. We don't know what the budget's going to be.
Yeah.
Let's say, for the sake of argument, our budget is simply sell to buy. Mm-hmm. It's that threadbare because the ownership model hasn't been sorted, or the ownership hasn't been sorted, and Erik ten Hag just has to bring in his own funds. Would you prioritize a goalkeeper as your number one target, or is it got to be a number 9 then a goalkeeper, or where does he stand in the pecking order?
I think we've got 3 positions where we've got no one good enough for Man United, or no one good enough for the top level.
Okay.
We don't have a striker that is good enough to win a Premier League. I don't think we've got a right back that is world class or going to be world class. Maybe they're good enough to be part of a team that wins a Premier League, but I think that's an area. And I don't think we have a goalkeeper that is good enough. Right. So for me, I think right back is the strongest of the 3, because you've got Dalot and Wan-Bissaka who can kind of do different bits.
Yeah.
The striking position, I think we need 2 strikers. Like you've made that point of, well, we've got to keep one. Well, we don't. Yeah. I think we need to, not to steal your argument, but I agree with you that I think we need 2 strikers. We need a Kane or an Osimhen and a backup. And I think we need a goalkeeper, because everyone else in midfield, the midfield is quite thin. But I think Eriksen, Casemiro, and Bruno is a very good midfield. Maybe not the best in the world and one we could improve on later, but I think it's very good. Luke Shaw is very good. Varane and Martinez are world class. Rashford is world class when he's playing like he is at the minute. Anthony, maybe a little bit of a drop off, but I think he's good. I think goalkeeper and centre forward are the 2 where they're just not good enough. Like, they aren't good enough to win you a league, and both ends of the pitch will cost you goals, and I think will cost us a title or cost us big games. We've seen it happen already this season. Like, not scoring goals in big games has been consistent all season. So that's obvious. We know our strikers aren't getting 10 goals, so that's plain to see. But you look at, like I said, that Sevilla game, that second leg. Maguire, who has been replaced but unfortunately had to play. But imagine Maguire was our first choice still. We'd be saying we would have to replace him, and we did. The other problem in that game, amongst many other problems, but the ones that genuinely cost us goals, was David de Gea. And we don't have anyone better than him. It's not anyone's injured or unfit. The question is Dean Henderson, which I'm sure we'll come on to in a bit. But I think for me, it is just behind striker for priority. I think we need a new striker or 2, and I think we need a new goalkeeper. If we were to sign 3 players this summer, I'd get a number 9 to start every week, a backup number 9, and a goalkeeper. They would be my 3 priorities.
Fair enough. Steve, where do you stand on the priority of replacing David De Gea? Is it high on the list, you feel, for Erik ten Hag?
I think it's a decision he has to make. Obviously, I don't know where the priority lies. Only he can tell you where the priority lies. I think we can all see a striker, but I think these are the problems that I think Ten Hag sits there just scratching his napper with at the moment. Like, this is a guy that probably wants to get cracking on what we're going to be doing over the summer, and can't get cracking on what we're going to do over the summer because he doesn't even know who's going to own us, let alone who he can go and speak to and ask, can he sign this player? Can I sell this player? So he might be sitting there saying, I can sell £80 million worth of players. Can I have that money? Can that go to my budget? What can I do?
Yeah.
Like, what can I do here? So I think it's a decision that he's going to be forced into making. But I think it's a decision he could kind of kick down the road by just giving him an extension, not rocking the boat as much. You could sign any key. Like, I like Diogo Costa. No guarantees he comes to the Premier League and settles in. None. Not one player that comes from anywhere else, even in the Prem. Playing for Manchester United is such a different proposition to playing anywhere in the world. that there is a potential chance that even if you look at all of the metrics of the player, you go, wow, there isn't a single thing this guy is worse than De Gea at. He could come in and perform worse for whatever reason. You know, whether that's a communication issue, whether that's a settling in, whether that's because his missus doesn't understand what Greg's is about, like whatever it is, there could be a reason why this guy doesn't settle in to playing in the UK. So when you've got to factor in that there might be 3 or 4 first choice players, first 11 players required in the summer, you might want to kick that decision down the road going, better the devil you know. And maybe we'll sort him out at some point, because I'm not sitting here telling you can't level up De Gea. I've done about fucking 10 videos on how you can level up De Gea with different players.
Just the 10. So were you slacking off, lad?
I just think it's as you've seen at Chelsea, you can't just sign a shitload of players and expect them to work. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah. I'll just before coming to you, Joe, I'll go through some of the chats and the comments. Raf22 says, keep it real. David De Gea has been poor for 5 years. By every metric, awful. It's not OTT. Never seen a goalkeeper so cowardly at claiming crosses. He's worse than backups. So someone being quite emphatic. Jibak Sahu says, don't buy the notion that our lack of goals has nothing to do with David De Gea. Our build-up from goal kicks is shocking. He isn't responsible for scoring, but he is a factor. Like strikers need to press and defend. And just before getting to your comment, SK says, priority for me still striker, CDM, centre midfielder, centre back, goalkeeper. We need goals more than anything. Hendo, never ever again must be sold. Go on.
The point there, I agree. I do agree with that point. Like you expect a striker to track back, and you expect a goalkeeper to be the foundation of your playing out from the back, because not the only time, but one of the main times you are guaranteed to have possession is a goal kick.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? You can go inside your 18-yard box. They can't. You start with the ball, and you have to be able to build from there. And when you have a goalkeeper that can't do that particularly well, that is always going to be a sticking point for playing out from the back. The Dean Henderson point is an interesting one, because let's say we don't have any money to buy a new goalkeeper. Like Steve's saying, you know, that Ten Hag might decide he's reducing his wages. Let's just make this a decision for 2025 or 2024, whatever it is.
Okay.
For me, I would at least give Dean Henderson a pre-season. I would at least have him as your backup, or give him a go, because he might for free. He doesn't have to be the goalkeeper for the next 10 years. He only has to be slightly better than the one we've got. Do you know what I mean? He doesn't have to be twice as good as De Gea. We're not buying him. He costs less money per week than De Gea. All he has to be is not even better, more suited. Like you look at Arsenal, they had Leno there, who's done very well this season for Fulham.
Yeah.
But Ramsdale suits the way they play more. Depending on what you want, you could argue that Leno is a better keeper than Ramsdale. But for the way Arsenal want to play, Ramsdale is a better keeper than Leno. Henderson doesn't have to even be better than De Gea. He just has to be different in a way Ten Hag would prefer. And all of a sudden, you've got a more functional team. Again, like Steve says, you can look at every stat you want, and once you're at Old Trafford, once you're in those big games, once the press are writing 10 times more articles about you than they ever have, mistakes can creep in. But statistically, Dean Henderson's shot stopping isn't very good. Unfortunately, neither is De Gea's. But Dean Henderson's claiming from crosses is a lot better than De Gea's. His playing it, his coming out, his passing isn't great, but he comes out of his box and clears it very well, statistically. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's not a top keeper, but he might be.
I was with you until you say Dean Henderson, because after that interview, he can fucking kick rocks, mate, as far as I'm concerned.
I get that, but who is that hurting?
That is a point, though, to be fair to Steve.
No, I think you can't have someone that's spoken out against the club. When everyone's pulling in one direction, you've got a guy pulling off to one side. Nah, fuck it. Do one.
Yeah, I don't. And
right or
if
wrong,
that is your viewpoint, I don't disagree with that.
Would Fergie have allowed anyone to speak out against the club like that? Absolutely not. Pack your shit and fucking do one. That would have been the game.
I can understand that viewpoint, to be fair.
Maybe.
He has obviously burnt some bridges there, potentially. But has he burnt them with 10 bridges?
Maybe is Dean Henderson not one of the players listed, though, that we can get money for? I know he's injured, but he's young. He was player of the year at Sheffield United. Well, he's 25. That's a young man, that, Stephen. Come on. He's playing against Sheffield United. He was doing well at Forest. I know he had his moments, but until he got injured, he was saving penalties and all sorts. You'd think someone would have him for at least, I don't know, maybe 15, 20 million.
Yeah, well, if we can get 15, 20 million for him, I would absolutely take that over playing him. My point was only if we literally cannot get anyone in. And also, no offense to him, but he got replaced this season. Like, yes, I know Keylor Navas is just a better keeper and is more of a winner than Dean Henderson. But Dean Henderson went to a relegation battling team and was replaced.
Was that not his injury, though, that caused that? Like, did he have a long-term injury?
I suppose he did. But I don't see him getting his point.
I don't think he would have been replaced had he not got injured, is the point I'm getting to. But
yeah, he has been replaced. No,
now.
So Forest probably aren't going to buy him. You've got to sell him to another bottom 6 team, probably, that don't have a good goalkeeper. Maybe we could get 20 million for him. If we could, I'll take the 20 million, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, if that isn't an option, if we can't get money for him, and if I would at least have a conversation with him, give him a pre-season, see where we're at.
There's rumours as well, isn't there, that he was the mole in the dressing room. I don't know how true these rumours are, but
that person.
There was rumours that he's a grass.
It was Lingard for a bit. It was Maguire for a bit. It was Pogba for a bit. It was Henderson for a bit.
I hear you. I'm just saying there was a lot of sort of noise around that Dean Henderson had been, messaging journalists. I don't know if that's true, and I don't like calling people a grass, but
But you're going to anyway.
It's just I come from Salford, who don't like that kind of behaviour.
Speaking of grass,
yes, come on.
Lawnmowers, Jay.
Lawnmower. Listen, I don't know about you, but I don't get out of bed for a lawnmower that's a 1.0, or a 2.0, or even a 3.0. Right? When it's spring and my spring has sprung in my pants, I want a lawnmower 4.0. Man. Joseph, to do the business.
Yeah.
Now, thankfully, you know where I can get one.
Manscaped.
Yes.
Can we get the Manscaped thing?
Never heard of it.
Callum?
Manscaped? You've not heard of it? Well, let me tell you, there's 8 million men worldwide that have.
There's more than 8 million men, Jay.
No, there's 8 million men worldwide that use Manscaped. Yeah, that rely upon Manscaped. Yeah. And if you use the code DEVILS20, well, there's a link in the description, you get 20% off from free shipping, and you can be one of the 8 million men at manscaped.com.
When you go to Old Trafford and you see the 75,000 people in there,
yes,
there is more than 100 times more than that people using Manscaped. Do you know that's a lot?
Do you know when they announced the attendance and everyone applauds?
Yeah,
that's real. They're applauding for Manscaped.
They are.
That's what they're doing. Yeah. It's like, yes, I use the lawnmower 4.0. I've got the performance package with not just the lawnmower 4.0, which, let's have it right, is fantastic.
Yeah.
Also, the weed whacker. Yeah. The crop preserver. The ball toner. Yeah. The performance boxer briefs. Yeah. The anti-chafing technology.
How is your anti-chafing? She all right?
She's all right. She's on tablets.
God bless her.
All of it goes in a shed travel bag. Yeah. So you can have it under your arm, thumbs up, coming off the coach, like you remember the team, looking proper. You've got everything you need there. You don't get any nicks and knacks because of the technology there, the skin-safe technology. It reduces any danger of that. All of that, 20% off and free shipping.
Come on.
When you use the code DEVILS20, your balls and your better half will thank you.
The link is in the description, so check that out now as well. Go in the description, have a look. Hopefully we get it in the comments as well. Make sure you click it, check out Manscaped. Again, use that code DEVILS20 for 20% off and free shipping.
I like the fact you said thank you, Manscaped sponsors. Hopefully we'll get it in the comments as well. Abhinav Verma says, Greg seems very misunderstood. The other day, Ronaldo Brown was slandering the sausage rolls. What's the deal, Steve? That's a very good point. Well made. What's going on there, Steve? Why are you allowing that to go on?
We're going to take him to an employment tribunal and figure it out.
Thank you. Good. Get a grip, man. Danny Tarr says, just a suggestion. Sign Navas on loan. Sell Hendo for funds. Navas is a short-term solution. Pushes De Gea for that number 1 spot. Club has time to look long-term. Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
To both of you. You've kind of touched on it. You touched on it, Steve. You touched on it. How fearful are you that we could end up with, you still use the term better the devil you know, with this little merry-go-round? I'm old enough to remember when the 12 best
Jay. What if we signed Taibbi?
I remember when the 12th best keeper I've ever seen at Manchester United, Peter Schmeichel, moved on to Porto. I think it was Porto, or went to Portugal. Yeah?
Yeah.
Was replaced by
Raymond van der Gaal. He's just a fucking knob.
Right, okay. He's 11th. Was replaced by Raymond van der Gaal.
Yeah.
Massimo Tahibi, Fabian Barthez, Mark Bosnich, Tim Howard, Roy Carroll, Ricardo, and probably Nick Culkin.
And eventually who?
Eventually, Edwin van der Sar.
Right. And
we went through literally about 12 keepers.
But did we get to Edwin van der Sar by going, one more year of Schmeichel? No, one more year of this. Better the devil you know. Okay. Because the thing with Schmeichel was, he was arguably the best goalie in the world or thereabouts at the time. He left as that. David de Gea isn't that. David de Gea is one of the worst goalkeepers in the Premier League statistically.
Okay.
Whether another goal, like you said, would come in and crumble under the pressure and be even worse than that, it's possible. But when Pep went to City and Joe Hart was there, the devil you know, who'd won leagues, who was a vocal voice in the dressing room, who'd been there a long time, who you knew you could win a Premier League with Joe Hart in net. It had been done.
Twice, I think.
He got in his own man, Claudio Bravo, who was shit. But he didn't go, that's failed. He went out and got Edison, and it worked. We didn't just stick with Joe Hart.
The problem that you're dealing with here is, unless it's Qatar that we get, that's not an option. No one else gets the sort of treatment Pep Guardiola gets, where they're allowed to replace their own mistakes within 12 months. We have to. Phil Jones is still a Manchester United player, Joe. He was signed by Fergie.
Yeah.
We are approaching 10 years since Fergie left the fucking club, and Phil Jones is still a fucking player here, right?
Yeah.
So when you say, let's just sign someone, if it doesn't work, fuck them off. There are consequences at every other football club on the planet outside of Paris and Manchester City where you're not allowed to do that. And that's one of the reasons why what Pep's done, it's pretty good, but is it that good really? Because of look at the resources that he's allowed to have. It's not necessarily about the money spent. People look at the total value spent, and we're not sure that that's the fucking real true story either, are we, by the way? Because
not to mention the 75 million. Yeah, right? And the 75 million that they gave to Haaland as a signing on fee doesn't count as his transfer fee.
Exactly.
That's nothing. Yeah.
So when you're saying, City have done it spending blah, 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 look at the number of players that have been allowed to sign, first team players. This is the kicker, right? Look how many players they've been able to bring in. That's where the difference is made. How many signings are you allowed to make? Klopp was allowed to completely transform that team. Wasn't it only Henderson from when he took over that was like a regular part of that side?
Yeah, I think
he totally transformed the team. We're still fucking about with 2 of Fergie's signings 10 years down the line. We are not the same. If you want Manchester United to be successful, you have to sign players. The problem is that we've spent way over the odds because we had a fucking melon running us who didn't know how to negotiate a fucking bag of bananas. And now we've blasted all our money. You spent 130 million on Wan-Bissaka. You shouldn't have spent 50 on a pair of them.
Okay, then. Let me ask you a different question then. Just before that, I'll make a comment and I'll ask you a question. Ray Carl Brown Amory says, I'm more concerned about us not scoring more than De Gea. No goals over 100 minutes. I get that. With everything we've been considering and the fact that we have been through a lot of keepers in the past and it can be a bit of is there not a bit of you that thinks if we are going to get a keeper, we need to go all out then? We can't scrimp on it. We can't get even a David Raya, I think, is a bit of a gamble.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because he's. I was chatting to a producer even before he was pointing out that when he played Newcastle, he was at fault for some of the goals. I watched him against the Scouts at the weekend, and his distribution wasn't great.
No.
And you think, as Steve sort of alluded to, there, you come to United, and it's like 75,000 fans on you, the expectation, the pressure. If that's the case, then should we not be thinking we're going to go get a keeper? We have to do what Liverpool did and get as good a keeper as humanly possible or something like that, in which case that might mean postponing it for a little while. So we've got the funds where we can go.
Than Van Dijk. Just not
I agree. Yeah. Alisson was a massive step up. City went twice on goalkeepers. Is there an element that we might have to go big on a goalkeeper? Or do you think, for you, would you just say, if we can get someone for 30, 40 million, if let's say, I don't know, David Raya or Pickford if Everton got relegated or someone of that sort of level, 30, 40 million. No, I'm just saying a 30 million pound
Well, Edison was only 40 million.
All right, 40 million. Right, okay. He was a bit of that's a
How
good
much?
deal.
40. Supposedly.
Yeah, creative accounting. But even Kepa was like 71. You can pay a lot for a...
But then Mendy was only 20.
Yeah.
So I get your point. I just think that it's a bit like, well, unless we can get the best in the world, what's the point in even trying? Well, I think there's a lot of a goal is better than De Gea.
Yeah.
And also, if we're thinking, well, we don't have money for a new goalkeeper this season because we have to spend 60 million, let's say.
Yeah.
So we're going to wait till the season after. Okay, well, let's say we get Kane in as a striker. He's then pushing 32 by the time you've got a keeper that you can win the league with. Casemiro is pushing 33. A Varane with no knees is pushing 32.
Yeah.
Like, Bruno's 30.
What are you saying, Joe? Just fuck it off.
No, exactly the opposite. I'm saying we can't drag this out over 5 years or 3 years. If we don't get a new keeper
10
this
years
season,
of mismanagement and having no fucking director of football with a brain in their head, and the club being run for what sells the most fucking noodles rather than what wins trophies. This is the whole fucking point about, is it, oh, look, get the fucking Norwich scarves out because they've lost a game. No, the fucking whole point about the Glazers, if they treated us like a ginger stepkid, they don't give a fuck. They've battered us. Like, we're left in a situation where we've spent over $1 billion on transfers, which is less than we've spent on debt, by the way, but we still don't look like we're in a position to fucking compete for the next 10 years. It's absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. It is. I'll get in some of the comments.
They should be allowed to own another fucking company again. And they're going to walk away with billions. Biggest heist of the century. They belong in fucking jail.
I think they should be allowed to own another company, and I think that other company should be Liverpool Football Club. Well, that's just my personal opinion on the matter. Jibak Sahu says, don't think there's a scenario under the sun where we're challenging for the title next season. Kane or not, it doesn't work like that. Look at Chelsea. I think we need probably a little bit more than Kane, if I'm being brutally honest, but I think Kane can certainly help us do that. Bazunu is decent with his feet, young, and would be cheap when Southampton go down, says Craig Plunkett.
Yeah, the Chelsea comparison I think is slightly unrealistic and not valid, really, because like Chelsea haven't just gone and bought a few players, lol. Yeah. They've just completely rewritten how football transfers work. Mm-hmm. They've spent the next 8 years worth of next 5 years worth of money in 1 year. Yeah. That's never happened before. No. It's not like they've gone, let's get a striker and a keeper.
Yeah, Barcelona with their levers have done a bit of that, haven't we?
But we always say, I'm saying is, let's get another midfielder, 2 strikers and a goalie. That isn't radical. No. We signed 4 first-team players last summer.
Do you not think
again?
There's an element, though, that... I know I'm not saying we shouldn't be having this debate and discussion and everything, but... The ownership thing is one thing, and we don't know what is going to happen. But Erik ten Hag could only sign so many players in the summer. We've seen what David de Gea has done. We've seen the way that he's affected how we play out from the back. All the things we spoke about. Do you not think there's an element that Erik ten Hag knows this, and he is just going like waiting for another transfer window because he couldn't buy 7 first-team players last summer. He can only buy whatever he bought, 4 or 5. Also in January, he could only make 3 signings or loans signings to replace, and that one of them was to sort of cover for Martial's injury and Ronnie going out. So is there a bit of you that thinks Erik ten Hag's kind of got this, or are you still worried that he backs this keeper?
No,
you're not too fond.
No, I think
he's don't think he's up to it anymore.
De Gea is pretty much the only player that ten Hag has ever come out and actually sort of criticised in any way after a game. Yeah. He said about his mistakes. He said it wasn't his best game, which, as far as ten Hag is concerned, is about as critical as he's ever been. Yeah, he doesn't say that about anyone, and he said it about De Gea, I think, 3 times. So fair enough, but I you're not going to come out and say that he's shocking. I don't want him to. I think he's done it the right way. But there's no way De Gea, ten Hag sits there thinking De Gea's had a great season. Do you know what I mean? It just isn't possible, is it? I don't think that there's any way that that's possible. So it's just where they've got the money. We saw it last summer, didn't we? Where we had those first couple of games, and all of a sudden the rumours were, the budget for a new goalkeeper has just gone from 1 million to 8 million. You're like, was the Brentford game anything to do with that by any chance? Like, I think there's no way they don't realise that ten Hag, De Gea is making more mistakes than he ever has, and isn't great at the things ten Hag wants him to be great at. Like, I know that I'm always saying it in like a babyish way to not be cruel, but like it is obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. Come on. What do you reckon, Steve? Do you reckon ten Hag knows it? It's just a case of whether he's got funds and he knows he needs to do something.
If he's not, then he's the wrong man for the job.
Yeah.
But then I wonder, like, Tom Heaton was a Premier League goalkeeper, like, just over a year ago or whenever it was that he signed for United. Not long ago. Yeah. Where's Tom Heaton? Not been seen.
Yeah. One of the best goalkeeping performances I've ever seen at Old Trafford.
Really?
But I don't think he brings anything that De Gea doesn't. That's the difference.
Are you fucking tripping on glue?
What? He's better at claiming his commanding his ball.
He's way better at claiming, yeah. His shot stopping's not bad. I've no idea if he's any good with his feet because I've not seen enough of him.
No. Yeah.
It's a massive statement, that, though, isn't it? I don't know. Maybe Ten Hag's thinking, if I do drop De Gea for Tom Eaton, who was basically
not even our second choice keeper.
Yeah,
I don't know where he is. He hasn't been on the bench for about 2 months.
He's been injured, hasn't he? But I think like that is a massive statement, and that could, because the thing with De Gea as well, he always looks like he's got a confidence issue.
Yeah,
like bizarrely for someone who's played over 460 games, or whatever it is for United, or I can't remember that figure. Yeah, I'm probably getting clean sheets and games mixed up. I don't know. Is it 400? Was it 560?
Fucking hell, Jay. He's got 400 and something clean sheets.
No, it's not clean sheets, is it?
40-minute debate on him.
Sorry, I think it's 540 games
something
for
like
Manchester United. I think he just overtook Alex Stepney. And I think he's brought the record for clean sheets as well. But if he hasn't got confidence after all that,
to give us his opinion.
Joe spoke to me the other day, didn't you? Yeah, we should get him. We should get him on one of the greatest, arguably the greatest goalkeeper United have ever had. Alex Stepney, certainly in top
Alex Stepney's like everyone's granddad. He is one of my favourite people that we speak to.
Yeah, he's ace, isn't he? He's just ace and so humble and just friendly.
What was he saying, Joe?
We were just chatting about the Jimmy Murphy statue, and he's telling us some stories about Jimmy Murphy and how him and a few of the other lads, you tick all the boxes what you want for breakfast the next day, and you put your little card on the door handle of the hotel, and they took his off and put every single item on the menu on. And then the next day, I had like 8 people come to the hotel room with all the little trays of food, and they were just having a bit of a laugh about it. Nice little story.
Nice little anecdote there, eh? Yeah. Little bit of a laugh, just an example of some of the laughs.
Just get Alex Stepney on to tell us stories like that about Jimmy Murphy and these George Best yarns, because he's got fucking loads of them.
Listen, I'm happy to do that. We'll do that. It sounds like a bit of a brew on that.
Just one little bit.
Go on, please do.
I think this thing of like, well, it is more important. After scoring goals and conceding goals, there is nothing more important than those things. Like, scoring is the most important, but not conceding is probably just as or similarly important. Okay. I think the only thing that, like, how can we prioritize
what about the satisfaction of an honest day's work, Joe?
Well, let's start having an honest day's work before we talk about that. I think, like, how can we prioritize not conceding goals over anything?
Exactly. That's why we're doing this song
over anything else
online.
I mean, we might not have time to get a new goalkeeper. We need other things first. Other than a striker, there's nothing we need more than that. No. Surely.
The problem is, we need a striker and arguably a backup striker. We need a right back. We need
You can win a league. I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but I'm just talking in general terms. You can win a league with an iffy right back.
Yeah.
You can't win the league with an iffy goalkeeper. When's the last time that happened? Kasper Schmeichel, but he wasn't iffy for their style because they sat back and counter.
He was all right, wasn't he?
Yeah,
he did it.
You don't win the league with a bad keeper or no goals. We have to have those two things if we want to challenge Aston next season.
Fucking goals than Leicester.
And it's ridiculous. And we scored less than Everton.
You might want to check that because Leicester have just banged in a few. I think they've scored more than us now. If someone in the chat was
more than Chelsea
was telling the truth, because I think it was 5. Someone said I don't know.
Load it up live.
Yeah, someone was saying that Leicester.
I know it's the same now. We're both on 49.
Yeah. There you go.
And we've scored the same amount as a team that's just fucking dragged themselves out of a relegation fight today.
Hey, that says it all.
Therefore, this debate's a load of bollocks. We need to start scoring some more fucking goals.
But there's no debate there. That's the difference. No one is saying, "Nah, Martial's wicked." Martial's a club legend.
So what we're doing is we're just admitting Steve won the debate.
I love the fact he didn't want to get into the debate and he didn't want to be labelled with the label that was on the thumbnail, and he's decided he's won the debate.
I won the debate.
Right, I
don't even know what the debate was.
Well, there you go. So default.
I think we agreed. It seemed like we agreed for most of it, but Steve's won anyway. And I'm happy to
Steve won the draw. Before we go, should we do a Wally of the Week? Because this is the Panic Podcast.
Oh yeah,
it's kind of what we do.
Just
come on, lads. You must have a Wally of the Week.
My Wally of the Week is the feeling deep inside.
The feeling. All right. Is that? I thought
not the band.
The band. Yeah.
The feeling. No.
How dare you?
I like Mike Feeling. My Wally of the Week is the feeling deep inside that Liverpool are going to get top 4 and we're going to lose to City, and next season is going to be almost as bad as last season. That is my Wally of the Week. The fact that I have to feel like this. I think
I don't think a feeling's ever been Wally of the Week before.
After match day 30, of the game, whatever, the 30 games, we were 12 points clear of Liverpool.
Yeah.
Now we are 1 point clear of Liverpool 6 weeks later. That is Wally of the Week for me. Okay. That feeling that I have to feel because Man United can't win football matches at the minute. It's been so good all season, and now we're back to where we're always at, which is, are we going to get top 4 or not? So annoying.
It is. It's frustrating. Stephen, do you have a Wally of the Week? Or can you narrow it down to one?
I feel like I should have had. Yeah. Do you know what? I had one yesterday. Who was pissing me off yesterday? Flag shaggers this weekend.
Flag shaggers.
What is a flag shagger, Steve? For anyone who doesn't know.
You know exactly what a flag shagger is.
Yeah, we do. And I get that because I avoided all that noise.
The coronation.
Yes.
Here's my view on it. I wasn't going to be, I'm never watching it. I just forgot it was on and missed it.
How can you forget it was on?
I went, oh, that's probably, it's 2:15.
Like,
I just
did well.
I just don't care.
I didn't watch it. I specifically made sure I didn't watch it.
Yeah, you were like,
let's drag a man around in a fucking gold carriage over sand-filled potholes because we can't afford to repair the fucking potholes. What a fucking mad country this is. I seen some guy saying only this country can do this. Well, other countries could ask us if they could borrow our fucking palace to do it, but they're not gonna, are they? Like, what do you mean? What? The only country that can have flyovers with jets? No, we're not. The only country that can have a crowd outside a fucking building of privileged pricks? No, we're not. The only country that can fucking have a massive disparity of wealth between the rich and the poor? No, we're not. Like, there's fucking loads of other countries. The only country that are we the only country that could arrest people for having an opinion that differs to what the state wants to put out? No, we're not. It's North Korea. That's what they do.
Like, I was just going to say, all of those things you've just described happen in North Korea most weekends.
Exactly.
Like a massive rally with everyone in the streets. Like, that happens all the time.
You could see a BBC News report, which is like, Kim Jong-il's arrested people. That's literally what they do at their like state funerals and stuff. Like, they've arrested people for daring to have an opinion that differs to what they want to put out. That's exactly what North Korea do. It's bullshit.
I like Steve's Wally of the Week. It's kind of in fitting with mine. I don't want to get political, but I'm going to go with David Lammy.
Darren Walter's there. Redknapp saying Haaland's the first genuine superstar of Premier League era.
There you go. He's gone for nobs. So basically, half the country and Jamie Redknapp. Hey,
go on then, Jay.
Anyone else you want to get off your chest while we're here?
He's just fucking decided nothing in his life up until the point that fucking Louise left his ass matters. So he's just fucking thinking he had a complete reset as soon as Haaland fucking joined. Like David Beckham wasn't a superstar. Like Wayne Rooney wasn't a fucking superstar. Like, I don't know, the Ballon d'Or winning.
Eric was a superstar. If you don't think Eric was a superstar, you're a dickhead. Of course he was a fucking superstar. Forget about everyone else. Eric was the first Premier League superstar, and he was a megastar.
David Lammy,
yeah, man. He's met a bit Labour, and the arrest that Steve was talking about, these anti-protest laws, he said, well, Labour can't do anything about that if we get in power, because we can't spend all our time repealing Tory policies.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me
imagine he said that in Germany in 1946. We can't just change all the laws the Nazis had. Like, yes, you fucking can.
Yeah.
That's the point of the opposition. That's the point of voting for you.
Some of them.
Hey, I vote for you because you're going to change what's been done before, not because you're going to go along with it.
Yeah.
Jesus,
there's a lot of paperwork involved. Do the fucking work.
It'd take too long to just not carry
have to
things
fill out
on
forms and then have a debate and have a vote, and we can't be bothered. We're just going to focus on other things like having more flag shagging ceremonies. Yeah, I can't be dealing with it. Honestly, it's deflating. Steve, thanks for joining in on this debate. The debate that wasn't a debate because everyone agreed, but even though Steve won. Thanks to everyone who got involved in the comments and the chat. And thanks to Manscaped for sponsoring us. Steve, what have you got on the horizon? What's coming out on your channel or Rio's channel or Stretford Paddock FC?
Paddock have got a game tomorrow, penultimate game of the season. It's in the area. I don't know where it is. It's away. It's like the Warrington.
The manager doesn't know where it is. It's in Warrington. Okay.
Warrington. It's WA16, I think. Let me just check.
Is that culture?
WA4. That sounds defo Warrington, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oldstringham, in part of Oldstringham, WA4 though, or WA.
Yeah, they have some WA postcodes in them sort of parts.
Yeah, interesting.
Range Sports, I believe it's called. And I'm just going to double check. I think it's Warrington. Yeah, it's Warrington. So if you're in the Warrington area, You fancy tuning in?
Yeah.
Come and have a World Cup. It's free entry. 6:45 is the kickoff. Why is it that early? Fuck knows. That's not very convenient for lads that've got to finish work and drive an hour across town in rush hour, is it? No, not really. Absolute fucking nightmare, if you ask me. But it is what it is. So yeah, we're playing Night tomorrow if you want to come and join us.
Lovely.
Joe, what's happening with you?
Not a lot. Just chilling out tonight. Probably going to have a little tater wedge in that.
Tater wedge.
See you in the morning.
See you in the morning.
Are you a sour cream wedges guy or are you like normal?
I am a sour cream wedges guy.
You can't go wrong with sour cream
and a bit
wedges,
of hot
man.
sauce, and I'm gonna have a bit of salmon with it. I think.
I'm sorry, what?
Nice salmon.
It's like a little posh fish and chips that I make.
Right. How the other half live, eh?
Instead of mushy peas.
Who are you? The king.
Salmon.
Salmon.
I didn't catch it on my ground.
I've won the lottery.
They have it at fucking Aldi, Jay.
Do you know what I mean? I'd love to have salmon in our house.
Yeah.
Anyway, he'll be eating salmon. Still be wandering the streets of
and
Warrington.
You'll be watching Sky Glass. Which costs about 60 times more than a bit of fucking salmon.
It's a business expense. All right. I need it to watch the football for this job. Right. Grass. Right. On that bombshell, we're going to leave it there. Big thanks to Stephen Housen for joining us from his bunker. Big thanks to Joe Smith. I'm Jay Moore. Thanks to Manscaped as well. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This has been the Paddock Podcast. Thanks for watching.